I'm Joe Duffy for Picks and Parlays. Welcome to Hot Models and Bet Middlers for college football. I've got some of the most fantastic models and computer systems known to man, and you know what? It barely scratches the surface what's in my arsenal, but I've been in this business since 1988, and I picked up a trick or 2000. And I'm going to share some of the best computer systems that apply this week, which games they favor. My Bet Middler, again, much like last week, we have only one that fits into it, but a Bet Middler is a game that, based on the advanced weather forecast, we believe there's a very good chance that the total will drop. So you want to bet the over now. You want to bet the under now, and then at game time, the total will likely drop, and you might have a very good middle opportunity. But make sure you like and subscribe, because as the year goes on, we hit November and December, you're going to have a lot more of those Bet Middler opportunities in both the NFL and certainly college football. And also going to tell you again who have been the best teams to bet on and against this year based on the margin of cover, or as some people like to say, the sweat barometer. Make sure you get my picks at Picks and Parlays. Already got a loaded gun up for this weekend. I got 7 of my highest rated Wise Guy plays college football Thursday through Saturday, and I know I'm going to have a big NFL portfolio as well. All right, well, let's get straight to it. Teams, we told you about this last week. We're going to tell you about this every week. This is a great under system. Teams that are off of games in which they rush for at least 350 yards go under 576, 457, and 31. Again, the theory behind that pretty simple. They had a great running game last game. Why fix it if it's not broken? They're going to go back to the run in their game plan. This does apply to 3 games this weekend: Navy and Rice, Florida State, Virginia, Army, South Carolina, and again, in all those cases, the super system would say the game is going to go under. Now, I also have more refined systems that put it always over the top, or almost always over the top, for premium plays. Some of these might be premium plays at Joe Duffy's Picks. Some of them might not. And generally, as the yardage goes up, so does the winning percentage. At 400 or more yards, it goes under 258, 191, and 15, and that would apply to that Florida State, Virginia game. All right, here's one that makes a lot of sense, and I know there's a lot of variations of this. A big conference dog, but not a very high total. You want to bet on the dog at 704, 599, and 33. And again, the theory behind that is pretty darn simple. Points are more valuable in games that are expected to be low scoring. So if you have a 7-point underdog in a game, which the total is 65, that is actually less, quote unquote, than if you have a 7-point underdog in a game where the total is 43. And it especially wins inside the conference. In non-conference games, basically a coin flip, but that would favor Rice over Navy, another hot model. All right, these are a little bit more complex, and truthfully, a lot of my systems that rise to the level of premium, we like to mix a bunch of systems, and then we rule out when there's conflicting information, so they're generally a little bit more complex. We try to keep it a little simple and give you the master systems here on Hot Models and Bet Middlers. Since 2020, going against teams that were ranked the last game, but not ranked in the top 5, they were not laying at least 3 points. Hence, they were playing another elite team, a ranked team that wasn't a big favorite. They could have been an underdog. And they were not laying a lot of points. And then in that game, they had 0 turnovers. Well, our computer says that is a big letdown spot. And it's also tough to duplicate what they did, which I guess is, we can argue about whether that qualifies as a letdown, but really more of a combination of a letdown and overvalued. It's very tough to, again, have no turnovers. Fade those teams in letdown situations at a 49-16 rate. And that hot model would favor Houston over Texas Tech, Texas A&M over Auburn, and it turns out there's really no difference. It's almost the exact same winning percentage if the team that we're fading is off of a win or a loss. It almost does not matter. The famed bubble burst angle. This is something I was riding even before computer software got very complex. Basically, a team in college football off of their first loss of the year is usually a good fade, and then I found out the theory is the higher they go, the harder they fall, or the harder they fall, the more of a go against it is. Now, in this case, a team has to have at least three wins, and they have to be off of their first loss, and the loss has to be by more than 14. They're off of a blowout loss, so again, big bubble burst situation. Their fades of 113, 52, and 4. And then I have a lot of subtleties where this bubble burst gets even better under other specific situations. There's a lot of different versions of it. Same basic theory applies, a lot of different versions of it, but this would favor USC over Illinois. Again, we're fading teams off of their first loss under the circumstances I said. Boston College over California. West Virginia over Utah. And Tulsa over Tulane. And it's 50 and 19 for 72.5% if the team in bubble burst is on the road, and that subsystem would favor Boston College, West Virginia, and Tulsa. All right, another hot motto. I've told you many times, college football, all the sports, college football is the number one momentum sport, and not surprisingly, college basketball is number two, because professional in the pros, look, they're good at bouncing back. They're good at bouncing back from adversity. The professionals are the absolute best. College sports, and especially college football, has been a lot more about momentum. When one team's margin of cover is 32 points more than their opponent, ride that momentum, as that team is 20-5 since 1995. So this is very rare. That means Old Dominion over Liberty. Now again, margin of cover, same thing almost as margin of victory, except it's relative to the point spread. So if one team won by 40, covered by 40, and the other team only covered by 10, that would mean the team that covered by 40 has a 30-point better margin of cover. And of course, it could be, more times than not, it's going to be one team that covered by a lot and the other team failed to cover. So, one team covered by 20, the other team lost by 10 against the spread, another 30-point margin. So when it's actually 32 points, you want to go with the team that has the momentum, and that would favor Old Dominion. All right, I got one bet middler. One of our good software says that when the wind is 13 miles per hour or more in college football, goes under 708, 527, and 37. Now, based on the current forecasts, the opportunity is on Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan. Right now at 53.5. The theory is bet that under. If the forecast holds up, you should be able to have an opportunity of possibly getting it over. At the very least, you should get closing line value. And again, closing line value is the difference between what you bet it and what it closes at. So let's say it closes at, 50. Your closing line value will be 3.5 points. And you're like, I don't want to middle that. You're still going to get closing line value. So whether it's a bet middler, whether it's a closing line value, but I promise, be patient. You're going to love this feature even more, in a couple weeks, late October, mid-October, and certainly in November and December, and the bowls and the NFL. We're going to have a lot more opportunities. All right. Now let's take a look at the top 10 teams, or the top teams to bet against and to bet on this year. And that is based on, again, what I talked about, margin of cover. Several teams, Florida State, Old Dominion, are both 3-0 against the spread, and they're both covering by more than 20 points per game. I got the graphic up there for you. Vanderbilt, a perfect 4-0, and they're covering by 19.9 points per game. Indiana, got to give them credit. They followed up a Cinderella year with another tremendous year. And that was one of our winners. We had a great Saturday last week in college football. Great career, but again, short term and long term. What have we done for you lately? Pretty darn good. I believe it is 12-6 our last 18 in football. Got to watch at a bar that I was at, Indiana, putting a hurt in there on Illinois, Louisiana Tech, North Texas, Utah State, and BYU. Some of the other best teams to bet on this year. Got that graphic up for you. Now, who are the top 10 teams to bet against? The worst margins of cover. Again, UCLA, Oklahoma State. You know, it's crazy. I guess you get your coaches fired. And Clemson, all been awful. UMass as well. None of these teams have covered this year. UCLA, far and away the worst at minus 25.3 points per game. Oklahoma State, minus 20.3. Again, if you're not covering, you got it. Your coach has to go. Clemson, is Dabo Swinney next? Probably not. But they have missed covering by an average of 17.1. UMass, Georgia State, Virginia Tech, Kansas State, Liberty. As you can see, those are some of the other teams. All right, again, not only do I, Joe Duffy's Picks, at Picks and Parlay, what a weekend I've got in store for you. Already 7 college football plays are up. I'm sorry, 7 college football wise guy. Wise guy plays are the biggest play in the industry. Also, site-wise, Customer Appreciation Day this Friday, only all picks, just $7 at Picks and Parlays. Make sure you visit Picks and Parlays on Friday for all the details.